be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That Illithid was the one friendly one in the whole complex.
Hey, we're back.
Okay.
And we're
Excellent.
back. All right. Madam
Wow.
GM, welcome back to the stream.
That's an epic little move, isn't it? Yeah, you can just get dropped anytime because it doesn't tell you when your battery's about to die.
You are muted.
That's
I
okay.
can't hear her.
What, me?
Madam DM, your mic is muted.
God damn. Do I have to recalibrate everything? Hello? Hello? Oh, it should be coming through okay. Let's see. Do I need to... No, you can't hear me nothing? Really? It says I'm getting an input. Huh.
Where are my snacks?
This break brought to you by Brain Buckets.
Fuck you, Acer.
What's a fight without wearing your brain bucket?
Yeah.
Don't let anybody
Might
take
I
your
say,
brain
again,
buckets.
fuck you, Acer. So all of you can hear me, yes? But I'm muted on stream. That's the issue?
I think she's still talking, but I can't hear her.
Oh my god.
Talk.
Oh.
Hello, you can all hear me, yes?
Oh, well,
now we can. Yeah.
Am I coming through on stream?
Hold on.
Oh,
yes, you are.
And I can be heard, yes?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, we are all good. Okay, sorry about that. You know,
It happened.
laptop. So
hey, we made it an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
We made it an hour and a half into the show before it went.
Yep. Okay, so let's resume. We were in a situation. Drew had just been drop kicked. Scorpion rats are now filling the room and skittering about. Ray Rao is ready to fight. And what does she do?
Well, the room's too small to use my bow, which at this point, why'd I even come on this trip if I can't use my bow?
Right?
So I'm gonna slash with my swords, because that's all I can do.
Well, you can always get really inventive with how you fight. Like, you know, throw a kick in there, overthrow a table. You know, tavern fight.
I tried punching an alien.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that was because I lost my sword.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to strike with my swords at the rat, one of the rats.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
and
so
let's see.
Give me a number.
Okay, so one is 22 and the other one is 24 to hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get both of them.
Yeah. All right. Okay, and then let's see. 16 points of damage.
Okay. So you know what's going on. This is nothing. You've dealt with wild animals before, even if they aren't quite the wild animals you're normally used to. So don't even worry about it. You take the two lead big boys, you slash off the heads quick as you can, like you've practiced with, getting game before, and they're down. They're completely not an issue. And don't worry about it. So, Soren, what do you do?
Ooh, is it my turn already? I thought I was last.
Oh, yes. That's right. So, Drew, you've got the breath knocked out of you, and you're down in the dumps right now. And this thing is unrelenting, and it immediately pounces right back onto you. And, what's your armor looking like?
Armor class of 18.
Okay, so don't worry though, your armor is strong as heck. So this thing, even though it tries to slash into you and tries to beak you with its little fang, you seem to be mostly okay and unaffected by its attacks on you.
All right.
Am
I up?
Yeah.
Am I up?
Yeah. So this thing's on top of you. You're on a busted cage. It's a bit of an awkward situation, but you're okay.
Well, doing my best Hulk Hogan impersonation. I'm going to put my finger up in the air and wave it as I get up, struggling, and I'm going to take my mace with a two-handed underswing to
Mm-hmm.
try and hit this thing and where the pills would be of any normal humanoid.
Ooh. All right. Let's see how bad that
As
is.
the let's see, and the roll,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be a 19.
Oh wow. Yeah. You just fucking lay into this thing. A heavy swing coming
Yes.
right between, not quite its
Yep.
genital. Oh wait. Yes. Apparently, whatever it has down there, you have firmly hit it.
Yep. Boom.
And how bad
For
is
8
it?
points.
What is it?
8.
Eight.
8.
8. So you absolutely floor this thing, knocking it onto the ground once again, and it is knocked prone. And now, Soren, what are you up to?
Um.
There are small rats with scorpion tails running around your feet.
Oh, they're still small. Ah.
Yeah, but these ones are so small they're not going to hurt you.
Right. That's not suspicious. Um. Uh. Soren, since it seems, I think that Illith had got kind of kicked over and there's tables being thrown around. I don't have the
Mm-hmm.
greatest view of him, but with all the other weirdness going on that we've encountered so far, I'm gonna go over to the two big rats that are supposedly dead and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of light them on fire just to make sure they stay that way.
Okay. No check for that. That's basically a cantrip. So you set the dead bodies ablaze, and they smell just wonderful as they burn. I mean,
These ones aren't coming back.
today's been just a lovely day for smells and sights for all of your characters. Um, Ray Rel, what do you do?
It's my turn again?
Yep.
I took care of the rat. I guess I'll go after Cthulhu over there
Mm-hmm.
with flanking with Soren
Okay.
or
Or with Drew.
Drew.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
You're on the
flanking
other
with
side
Drew.
of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now what you do?
I'm gonna swing my sword.
Okay. I swing my
When it's prone,
swords
I
in
think
the
you have
air
advantage.
sometimes. Okay.
All right, let's see. Ooh. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. One is a 15 to hit, and the other one's a 22 to hit.
Okay. So this thing, don't even worry about it. It's like a knife through butter. These things ain't got tough skin. Don't worry about it. You slice right into it. It goes through like a hot knife through things hot knives go through quickly. So how badly you heck this thing up?
Let's see. Um, 15.
15. Okay, so yeah, don't worry about it. You just lop this thing into two pieces. It's just dropped right down immediately, and there is no more struggle from it. Its head is been removed from the bod.
Okay,
I'm
awesome.
going to cantrip fire his face.
Mm. And you do that without too much struggle.
No
Um,
movement.
no movement. But yeah, this seems to definitely be what was their chop shop. In that there's pieces of bodies lying about. You know, there's knives, bone saws all over the tables that are around. It looks like the creature you'd been fighting, up until recently at least, had been snacking on one of the remaining human corpses that was down here.
So I'm glad I bashed its skull in.
Mm-hmm. Although on closer inspection, that is not a human body that the
Ooh.
thing it was feeding on. It was feeding on orc flesh.
Oh, still, I bet you would eat whatever was available.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
And yeah, there was another one of those loose doors that it seemed to have been pawing at. And this one also does not seem to have been locked up in any notable way.
Oh, which way? Where are the rats going? They may know an exit. It's you on a sinking ship. You followed them off.
I thought I killed them.
You killed the big ones. I thought that there were a bunch of tiny ones
Yeah, there's
scurrying around.
tons of tiny ones that are really too small to be of any danger.
Do they seem to be making a beeline in any
They seem
direction?
to be in utter chaos. They're going whichever way they can. Some are crawling into the pipe systems. Some are making their way towards the giant water pool that was down below. And some are trying to weasel their way under the pretty airtight, to be honest, doorway.
Can I watch those rats go into the water pool? I'm curious about that. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, you
If we've
can.
got willing test subjects going into that water.
Yeah, you silently walk over and see them, make their way around it. The ones that do squeak do seem to fall over dead.
Ooh. I'm going to investigate the table
Mm-hmm.
and just to see if there's anything of use.
There is a very devilish looking dagger that was used for cutting up humans. There is a blood covered bone saw, and there are quite a few small scalpels. And that's about it for, things that would be interesting to you. There's your average surgical equipment, but those don't really seem to serve much of a purpose.
I want to take the weird dagger.
Okay. It's a weird surgical like dagger, but it seems horrendously sharp, and you don't quite have a scabbard to put it in. So where do you put it?
I'm gonna wrap it with like a spare shirt and just like
Oh, with all the
stick it
fluids.
in my bag. I can do laundry later.
That's
Just gonna
that's fair. I'm just giving you a hard time.
just gonna wrap it with a spare shirt and just stick it in my pack until I can
Okay.
get a sheath for it or find use for it.
Okay. And Drew, what are you up to post battle?
Drew is examining the door once again, and
Uh, Seems to
trying
have
to.
mostly been blasted off its hinges.
So can I see down the hallway then?
Yeah, it's airtight.
Very
And
good.
it seems at the end of it, you can see another small kind of, only about 3 feet tall, but it's like a hatch on a submarine, sort of directly into the wall.
All right. Well, Drew's going there.
Okay. The hatch isn't locked either, and you can pull it open.
He will do so.
And when you open it, you see something you've wanted to see for a while: daylight.
Soren, Raywell, the exit is here.
Oh, thank goodness.
I will. Drew turns to the group. I'm going for the brain.
What? What?
I'm going for the brain.
Oh,
Why?
take it with us.
Yes.
Oh, okay, the one in the jar, not the big one in the pool.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
So Drew just starts marching
Mm-hmm.
quietly as can be. No talking, no words.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna go pick up the brain and go back to where he came from and exit through that area.
Okay. Yeah, you pick up the kind of heavy brain jar.
Yeah. So we'll try to.
Yep, you got it right in your hand. And boy, is it humming up a storm now.
Well, I'm gonna try to communicate,
Mm-hmm. Well,
and I'll speak to it. Can you talk to me?
it just makes humming sounds. Although, as you walk it through the room with the giant one, it definitely
Yeah.
seems like there's a sort of sound of longing, like a like a buzz, and it sorts with what limited movement it can make. Its eyes are watching the big one it makes as you make your way through.
Okay. So I'm gonna stop,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna look at this thing. I mean, am I getting the feeling it wants to be reunited with this thing?
Yes. It looks at you, and
Well,
whatever
then by all.
whatever emotion can be conveyed by severed eyeballs and a floating brain, it's looking at you.
Also, the eyeballs aren't even attached to the brain with like nerves or anything. They're just floating.
No, it's mostly just like telekinetically connected.
Okay, I'm going to say, it's gonna it's gonna sound strange.
Mm-hmm.
Do I put you in to the water, vessel and all, or just you? Move your eyes up for just you, down for all of it.
It moves its eyes up.
I'm freaking out at this point. Like, holy shit. This thing just fucking talked to me.
And we're not even there to witness
Yeah.
it.
Man, I love Drew's new child.
So,
Brain baby.
yeah, I'm just vessel and all, right? That was the choice.
No, it said the eyes up one.
Okay,
So
so
just dump
I
it into the
I
pool.
will I will just simply say, if you can understand me, may Cuthbert be with you. I will set you free. And as gently as I can, I'm not just gonna turn it over and dump it in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of gonna use the lip of the thing to gently pour it in, so it doesn't, hit water and get
Mm-hmm.
all messed up.
Kind
And
of like
so,
when you put a new fish into a tank.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I will release this brain
As you let it
into the
in,
water.
it moves somewhere between like a cell with the little hairs on it and a jellyfish, and
Yeah,
it sort of eagerly swims down to the bottom. And a couple seconds later, you get that same brain waves that were hurting you later, but this one feels warm and doesn't hurt.
interesting. So I'm going to kneel,
Mm-hmm.
offer a prayer to Cuthbert, hoping that these aren't evil entities and that they may, seek whatever peace they need. And then I will stand once again and leave.
Mm-hmm. Love can bloom in strange places. But yeah, so anything else you guys do?
Search the room for anything and everything, and then bounce.
Yep,
Yeah,
sounds good to me.
just pieces of bone, pieces of cloth, bone saws and scalpels are pretty much all you can find in this space.
Huh.
And then
That's what's happening.
as you make your way out, it's getting towards the evening, and it's not too hard to find your way, tracing back your steps, but from the outside back to camp. And your stuff seems to be okay.
Wow.
Soren, do
Yes.
not go through any weird doors.
Is the weird door still here, or did it disappear like it did on the other side?
No, the weird door is still pretty there.
I mean, do you think it goes to the same place still?
I do not want to find out.
Well, Drew looks at them both and will say, "This place may come in handy at some point in our lives. Let's try to note where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
If we ever need a place to retreat to, perhaps this is it."
I mean,
Fair enough.
So
we
I'm going
anywhere?
to, yeah. So I figure I would like to, stay and recover from, the 3 hit points of damage I took, and try to, you know, do everything I can to know where this place is in case I ever want to come back.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you have a
You said we have a rough map.
yeah, you have a rough map. So you can note that it's in the south part of, or the southwest part of Aborals.
Okay, that's what we'll do. We'll mark it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we have our own superhero base, guys.
That's what you can call it.
If we need it.
That's one way to phrase it. Yeah.
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 I mean, I feel like it still may be that brain's base at this point. There's
They like us.
still a current occupant.
They like us at this point.
I mean, so one thing you do remember as you've been reflecting over it is mind flare colonies tend to have a sort of central brain as its leader, a sort of elder brain, and so from what you can tell, you met the elder brain, and
Wow.
you met it though after what were essentially its people, its children to shepherd, had been slaughtered. So
Wow. Well, there we have it.
you met it at a
We will.
strange time.
So we have, we have some street cred with this brain. That's what I'm thinking. Regardless, let's note the location of this.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
shall we rest and heal and then carry on?
Yeah, we still have quite a ways to go to
Indeed.
get to the comet.
Mm-hmm.
So has this been here the whole time? Did this come with the comet? I mean, that's.
If it's in the mountains, I doubt it. Maybe it's been here for a while.
I mean, we don't know. Did we? I don't think we saw bottom to that. We don't know where that water connects to.
Thought he said the
Or
brain.
did we?
Did the brain say anything to me? No, the brain did not say. Madam DM, did we notice the depth of the pool?
Yes, I said it was about 20 feet. Kind of hard to tell.
Oh, there we go.
Very deep,
Okay.
but
So such.
like a well.
So the brain just moved to a bigger jar.
Yes. Yes.
So we shall rest and continue towards the comet.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I'm with you.
imagine this, Drew, is you can talk to someone over Wi-Fi, right? And that's essentially what those two brains can do. But it's a very different matter entirely being with someone in person.
Yeah, of course.
Mm. And with that sort of existential moment taken care of, you begin your journeys southeast once again. And
Yep.
days pass and your rations get a little low, but you manage to keep up pretty well on it. And before you, you can see that the crash site is getting closer and closer and closer as the smoke from it, gets nearer and nearer every day. And one day, while you're making your way across the desert, you hear the sound of hooves and the sound of 50 to 100 feet moving through the area. And off in the distance, Rayrel, you can see a host of humans and orcs marching through the desert, sort of on patrol, as it were.
Like together, humans and orcs.
Together.
All right, that's very real. Okay.
And Rayrel's
Okay.
really the only one who can see this.
Okay.
You know, you can see a small blob of things in the distance, but you can't quite make out that it's individuals within it.
Got it.
Um,
I relayed that information to
hmm,
everyone. I see the group.
hmm. At the lead of it, you note a large man with the symbol of Rory on his shield and the and a black horse underneath him. And you can't tell anything about this man, but he's an enormous dude in black armor. And Drew and Patrick and Rayrel, you realize you notice this person, or you recognize them, in that many years ago, all three of you fought in a battle. Well, it was well known that there was a traitor in the Circle of Eight, which was a high-ranking group of wizards in Greyhawk. And this was led by a man named Rory. And Rory had an ace in his sleeve that really helped him, do this betrayal and then escape with relative little harm to him. He had made promises to orcs and, human opportunists as they moved towards the desert, but his ace in his sleeve was this brilliant knight by the name of Sir Robilar, an enormous man and one of the finest warriors ever produced by the city of Greyhawk. And all three of you know that coming across this man who patrols the region would be bad news.
Then hide we will.
We'll try to keep a wide berth. Like walk around them as best we can.
Mm-hmm. So you remain on the sticks, and another day of journeying passes, and for the most part, you've managed to avoid Robilar's company. And then another strange sight comes across you. This one much, much closer to the crash site, in that you see about 15 hooded figures sort of making their way across the desert. Much like you, they seem to be trying to avoid attracting attention to themselves. But with your small party and relative small footstep, they don't notice you either, and you get the first notice here. They seem small though. They aren't humans and they aren't orcs. They're just 15 cloaked individuals making their way across. Whatever the group, they
Okay.
seem haggard. And, as you start to come down to camp for the night, you notice that their camp is not too far from yours, and they didn't even notice you. Wherever they are, they're
Alright.
not used to this region.
Uh,
Do you folks engage or leave them be?
I mean, considering the one other group we've interacted with tried to kill me with the spider, I think we'll keep a distance.
Okay.
Yes, it's. I seem to remember we're supposed to.
Does
We
it
were
look like they're?
selected
Does it?
for
Does it look
sneaking
like
in and
they're?
out easily.
Yeah. Does it look like they're shadowing Robola?
No, they do not seem to even notice his presence, and if anything, they seem to be heading in the opposite direction to Roblar.
Okay.
So they're not heading towards the comet?
They are not heading towards the comet. No.
Huh.
Can you describe what they're wearing if we can see it again, madam?
For the most part, they seem to keep to wearing heavy black robes that definitely do not seem to be a good fit for the region. These are very warm garments and are better fit for colder conditions.
Small, tall, these creatures?
They are small. They, you know, they are 4 feet tall. They could be dwarves, they could be halflings, they could be gnomes, they could be goblins, kobolds. They're definitely not of the taller folk.
Indeed. They're Jawas.
I mean, they do give you a slight Jawa vibe, but unlike Jawas, they do not seem to be well adjusted to the environment.
Um. Well, if they're heading away from where we're going, and they're ill suited for the travel, I think Rayrell's gonna cautiously and just she's gonna approach and say, hail travelers.
Oh,
Uh,
shit.
So
are you in need of any assistance?
there's like an audible gasp from this small crowd as you come in. They sort of back away a little bit from the sort of pitiful campfire that they set up, and a figure with a heavy knotted root cane sort of shambles their way over to you and pulls back their hood. And this is a kind of person you haven't seen before. These are Sverfneblin, deep gnomes.
Huh.
And this
Out
one
on the top slope.
and this one seems to be especially haggard. He says, yes, we could use some assistance. Who are you?
I am Rayrell.
You are
And
Ray.
yes.
And these
And,
two?
well, uh, this is Soren, and then this is Drew.
He looks at Soren. Drew? And he points to Drew. Soren. Got it. Well, Miss Rayrell, there is quite a thing you can do for us. We were attacked, and our numbers cut into only a fifth of what they are now.
Oh my.
Tell me, we are unfamiliar with these lads. Do you know a place that would be friendly to gnomes anywhere around here? It seems to be filled with only the most unsavory of sort. We have wounded and such that need attending to.
Well, the only town I know of close by is Hardby. However, they're not really friendly at the moment to outside.
Hmm.
Um, Perhaps we can help with some of your injuries?
Yes, if you could help
And,
with that, and perhaps we could trade food and other small trinkets in the meantime.
Okay. Rerel's gonna take a sprig of berries and cast good berry and offer
Mm-hmm.
the uh, branch to the gnome.
Mm. Thank you very much. I'm familiar with this.
These should help.
I'm familiar with this spell. We had one of our own who could cast it. They're probably dead now. It's unfortunate that. And he shrugs a little bit noncommittally and gives the good berry branch to one of their fellows who gets about sort of tending to the others. So what does a elf and two men have to do out in this desert?
Merely on a quest of our own that we can't divulge information of.
Mm-hmm. Soren, and he points to Drew. Why are you out here? The
Go
silent,
ahead, Soren.
the silent type. I know of them. He points to Soren and he says, Drew, why are you out here then?
Oh, some holy quest, something with a god. I think that's my general gist.
Hmm. You're so far from wherever your probable home is, and you don't even know why you're out here. You'd make a good gnome. Heed my tale that I will tell of you. There are things going on in the Underdark that will soon affect the surface. And so stay careful, alright?
Of course.
If there's anything we can provide to you, simply let us know. And with that, he sort of stops paying as close
Um,
attention to you.
well, it seems we're more of use to you. You're I'm honestly just here to help,
Mm,
not asking for anything in return.
how generous. We could use
What
more of
caused
your
you?
kind. What?
What caused you all to leave your homes?
Illithids. Strange thing that. Oh,
We recently ran into some illithids ourselves.
interesting. Normally, they're right bastards, but as long as you leave them be, they're good enough to you. Stay out of their way, and they'll stay out of yours. Unless, they see someone they particularly want to eat the brains of. But lately they've gotten far more aggressive. I cannot explain why. But out of the blue one day they send a massive host of enslaved beings and even a few of their own kin into one of our cities, slaughter the lot, and send us floundering to wherever the wind may take us. We figure the beings we don't like the light, but they are absolutely harmed by it, and so we thought it better to take a risk out here. A small host of some of our best warriors and our women and children and young folk fled the underground. We come up here, and who is yet to greet us but a man in black armor, who then, in order for the women and children and the infirm to get away, requires us to sacrifice practically all of our warriors and all of our spellcasters. Gnomes don't have a lot of warriors and spellcasters. We're not really a blade-toting bunch. And so this has left us, of course, in a bit of the vulnerable situation you see us in, and he, kind of half-jokingly, sort of in a melancholy way gestures to his contemporaries.
We know of the man you speak. We've faced him in the past. He is quite the ass. Put it lightly.
Asshole, you say? Is that his name?
Yes. Yes.
Interesting. We'll keep that in note for the future.
Keep firing, assholes.
Obviously, this guy knows he's not called asshole, but he's playing along. Well, let us not bother you any further. You've done us well.
I wish you safe travels, and I hope you find refuge.
We will head east. Far, far into the east. For I feel there is no one there who will find us. Those lands are untamed from what I've heard.
They're quite wild,
Mm-hmm.
speaking from experience.
And with that, he sort of bows and goes back to tending after his own people. And, soon after, the next morning comes. And before you can even, tell, they're gone. They likely left sometime during the night when it's more comfortable for them to travel. And now,
All right.
you folk are only half a day's travel from the crash site, and you can see it coming up on the horizon.
We're almost there.
Anything to note before you get going?
I think Rayrell's gonna just prepare some good berries, just in case.
That is a trick that would have come in very handy when you folk were starving back in Aborals, and
I just figured it out. I just figured it out.
Dang it.
Soren is just drinking wine and watching Rayrell a bit, but then also watching Drew go through his morning rituals. Just kind of all the different blessings and prayers that he tries to that it looks like he bestows on himself, just observing the mannerisms of them.
So, Drew, how are you doing?
Drew is well. Drew is starting to learn that his compatriots can take care of themselves and aren't children, so to speak.
I am way older than you.
Yes,
if anything, you are babies.
Yes, but he's thinking in terms of fighting and how to dispatch bad guys. And Drew is very happy with these two. And you see that he is very diligent, being a priest and a warrior and a former soldier of note. So everything he does is very regimented in the morning.
Rayrell, you feel something heavy in your bag as you get ready to leave for the day. A little heavier than usual. And upon inspection, it looks like the Sverfneblin sort of left you a present as they were leaving. There's a little casket of wine with the words, basically mushroom brew on it. And it was left in your bag, and it's heavy, but not too much so. And the liquid is a strange sort of yellow-green.
Well, I suppose we can use this for celebration upon completing our task.
So, you begin to make your way towards the crash site, and the crash site is there's this ring of, sort of high rocky hills that ring the entire area. And as you make your way over the cusp of them, you see the sort of crash site splayed out before you. So the first thing is that, there is a sort of, uh, a crater, a giant hole in the ground. Not hole, but, a disc-shaped divot in the ground. Uh, Probably half a mile across. It's absolutely enormous. And ringing the entire thing is a small, ramshackle stone wall that has been quickly built to sort of guard the area. And what appears to be magically raised stone, not like floating, but like a plateau area that was created, is housing a large camp, and they seem to be eagerly flying the banners of Robilar and Rory over it. But the most interesting thing about this crash site is is the meteor itself, because it's not a meteor. Instead, before you, you see this vast three-masted galleon with a bronze hull, resting half nose or part of the nose of the galleon buried deep in the sand. And you notice on the sides of it, it has what appears to be like the fins of a fish attached to the hull near the back, and it's covered in strange devices that you can't quite recognize. And it seems as though it's being heavily guarded right now from all around by Robilar's troops. Though Robilar himself does not seem to be present right now.
It's
So,
a ship.
what do you do?
It's one hell of a ship.
And he's here.
Okay, so help me understand. Is this a ship buried in the sand?
It's not too buried. It's only the very tip of the nose is buried in it.
But it's in the sand. There's a boat in the desert.
Yes.
A boat with a whole bunch of like accessories, like weird fins and devices and stuff on it. And it's Soren is like entranced, just like mouth agape, staring at it. This is the coolest ship he's ever seen.
True, but
Wow.
so are any of your characters, like what do they do since they were obviously expecting a meteorite of some sort? You know, what do they take from this? That one, they're going to have to deal with a fortress of Robilar's own creation, and two, it's not even a meteor that they were looking for.
Well, I was not expecting a ship.
Either was I.
How, is this what fell from the sky? And what does Robilar want to do with a ship?
I mean, if this ship fell from the sky, who wouldn't want? Can you imagine?
That's fair. That's fair.
I want it.
Of course you do. Should we devise a plan if we're gonna approach? Because we just can't walk in there.
I think we should take some time and evaluate their defenses and see if they have a watch posted and make ourselves available to go.
Drew, what exactly were our instructions from your church again when we thought this was a meteor?
Our instructions were to evaluate what we find and report on it. And
Okay.
if so, try to bring something back so that they can get a better grasp of what this actually was. And so initially, as you thought as well, I thought perhaps it would be a part of a rock. or part of a something, but not part of a ship in the middle of the desert.
Well, we can't let him have it. Who knows what he'll do with it? No good can come of this army getting a hold of this ship.
Okay.
So we
Is
are just the three of us. We can't take on their entire company. But maybe we can make things difficult for them.
Guerrilla tactics, if you.
DM, does it look like they're simply guarding the boat? Do we see people going in and out of it?
They seem to
Is
be
there like
firmly staying
excavation
away
happening?
from it for right now.
Ooh,
Why are they so far away from it? It's
Yeah,
they should. I mean,
there's soldiers
to
all
look at this
about the
thing, they
ship, but none on it.
Mhm. I
Um,
mean, if we had this, wouldn't you all be on it? Wouldn't you be digging into whatever this is?
and I turn and look and say,
Hi, so folks, I'm offering you a very rough image of essentially what it looks like.
okay.
So you have the hill that you're on, you have the palisade, a camp, a ramp down, the ship itself, and then the sheer wall of the crater, and then more walls ringing around the entire circumference of the crater. So that's basically what it's looking like right now.
Okay. There's no real way around it from what we can see. Like, it's guarded and all. Like, for the perimeter, it's all guarded.
It seems pretty well guarded, yes.
Alright. We need to get in there somehow. But we can't take all of them on.
Sometime in the evening, perhaps we should try to sneak in.
That could work.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could try to spend this day keeping tab on their routine. And perhaps we can find an opening.
Now you think like a soldier. I think we should look for patterns in their troop placements and their guards and watch. And we give it a couple of days and see where we most likely would be able to get on board.
Okay.
Or, alternatively, if we keep an eye out for any soldiers that are venturing out alone or in small groups, anybody that we may be able to quietly subdue and steal uniforms for, it wouldn't matter if we were seen approaching the ship.
We can do both.
I think one is opportunity and one is planned, and I think they both have merit.
Do we see any civilians in this, kind of looking further away from the boat? Do we see any civilians or prisoners in the camp? I mean,
Um.
we're not the only one. We're not the only ones that were coming for this thing.
Hmm. You you note that you see about 4 prisoners during one of the days of your observations, but it seems that you are either the first or one of the first parties to arrive, or you might not be the first parties to arrive, and just instead of being taken prisoner, any party that arrived was quite effectively murdered.
Wow.
So, from what you can all tell, 4 prisoners is about the extent of what you've seen.
Okay.
Other things that you observe while making observations of the camp is that you tend to see a lot of the soldiers more than once. In that, like, they seem to be very short staffed comparative to what they've created. And so they are running with very few, uh, you know, sword arms there.
Well, that's something in our favor. Not as many soldiers as we once thought.
One of the days of your observation, you note that Robilar and his party return, but that they leave soon afterwards. And, for the most part, it's a very skeleton crew. It's as though, Robilar's already stretching his forces quite thin, and this is as few as he can spare, even for a prize as valuable as this.
All right. Maybe we'll have a better chance once we get inside if things go tits up.
I agree.
So I guess we wait for an opening and we go in at night.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay. So, you've been observing for a few days now,
Mm-hmm.
and finally, the day comes for you to make your move. And at the changing of the guards, you see an opportunity before you. So, do you approach from the south, which is where the camp is, the north, the east, or the west?
We certainly don't want to come from the hill because then they'll see us and have like a tactical advantage against us. So I guess we'll come in from one of the sides.
Coming from the direction of the camp just seems like there's a lot of. It seems like it would be more heavily populated.
Yeah.
And as the day goes on, or as the night goes on, you seem to strike gold with the perfect opportunity coming up before you. A sandstorm passes through the area, and the entire area is like deeply obscured in a blanket of, orange sand. This is the darkness of the night, and the clouds of the stinging sand prevent anyone from seeing much farther than 30 feet up in front of them. So what is your plan?
Should we approach from this ship? Gives us less distance to have to cover once we make our way in.
Yeah.
I agree.
So the closest side to where the ship is where the enemy camp is set up. So if you make your way through the enemy camp, that's the fastest way to the ship, and you don't have to deal with the sheer cliffs of the crater.
We'll just cautiously make our way through. Should we tie ourselves to each other so we don't lose each other in the sandstorm?
Patrick,
Seems a bit clunky. It seems like it may limit our. If we need to quickly hide, that may limit us a bit.
Okay, that's fair. Alright.
On the
So,
bright side, in terms of finding each other, we tend to stand out amongst this group.
yeah. So we'll just cautiously make our way to the ship.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you get over the wall? It's about 15 feet. It's pretty shoddily constructed, like just quickly stacked sandstone. So it's climbable. It can be broken through. Any way you want to go about this is probably a viable method.
I think Rayrell's gonna climb up first, and then she'll send down a rope to the other two.
Okay. Let's give me an acrobatics.
Okay. 16.
Okay. So it's not a fun time, and the stinging sand is burning your eyes as you make your way up it. But throughout it all, you do manage to get on top, and with your help, the others are not far behind. So now you're on top of the wall. All that is before you is the storm, or not the storm, the camp of Ravelar's stretched out forces. So how do you go about it?
Climb down carefully, and then we'll just weave our way through the camp, avoiding people.
So it mostly seems to be in tight columns, and there seems to be either an orcish or a human soldier watching each of the 5 columns of tents. Uh, each of them, from what you can tell, is armed with a crossbow and is keeping tight vigilance. These aren't hard-bee guards, these are well-paid soldiers, and they are watching.
Right.
And so, if all of you would like to make a stealth check, you can try to sneak past if that's your plan.
I'm going to stealth.
I rolled a natural 1 on my stealth check, so it's actually 0. So I think I've got symbols, and I'm walking around like it's a halftime parade right
No, I have a good idea.
Okay, so I rolled a 19 for stealth.
Okay, and yourself?
I actually
Not bad.
What was that?
22.
Okay,
I rolled a 19. God damn.
so here, I'm going to boot up Roll20 again, although it switches out a little strange on my computer. I think, yes, I'd like to create a quick little map. Okay, so you can see sort of a patchwork construction of buildings before you. And then let's see, everyone can see this? Yes, everyone can see
Yep.
this. Excellent. So let's get you folk a bard for Drew. Or not Drew, Soren. I know that Soren is technically a sorcerer, but he gives off strong bard vibes, you know?
Yep, that was in the notes.
What was in the notes? The strong bard vibes?
Just how he presents himself.
Thick bard energy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, that you actually, here's what I'm going to say, is you managed to get through the camp with no trouble, but once you get up to the little, ramshackle keep that was made as a temporary measure, and right as you're about to leave the camp, you stumble over one of the pitches, the little things that keeps the tent in place, and basically cause one to collapse. And this obviously immediately alerts all the soldiers in the area, and they're dispatched, they're running about, but you manage to get to the little stonework keep that sits between you and the ship. And so now you have an area in front of you, and soldiers dispatched throughout it, and you're unsure what to do. Once you reach the other side to the south, you will have reached the ship.
Okay. Well, I want to continue moving.
It's as we start because it looks like we can start kind of weaving our way through this stone structure, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to, before we head in, I'd like to use minor illusion to throw some distracting noise kind of on the exterior of it to maybe lead some guards away from the
Okay, so
direction
like
we're
out
heading.
here somewhere.
Yeah, and it could be it's gonna just sound like somebody coughing and hacking. It's just gonna be the sound of somebody with like a really bad cold.
Okay. So you make that, and you hear boots moving, and you hear people moving away, and you think you might have lured a few away, yes. So, do you head east, do you head west, or do you head south further into the keep?
South? We're heading towards the ship, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you make your way this way. The guards who noted Soren's coughing sound are heading this way, and then other guards are moving about in here, and I have another screen open where I'm moving them right now. So now, here is what is arrayed before you. Which way do you go?
Guess we're gonna just keep going
Okay. This way,
towards the ship.
this way, here.
Probably keeping close to that wall, then like looping around to that circular area because I see a break in the wall
Okay,
towards the south.
okay. So you folks are staying along the wall.
Yeah.
Got it. So now let me move my things. Yep. Okay. So now you peek out and you can see that there are several orc and human soldiers sort of stood about. And then right past that, you can see the little gangplank they've set up on their little plateau that leads onto the ship. So if you make it past
Okay.
this, that's all that's left. So,
I guess we just make our way towards the gangplank.
That's
well, if you cross through, they are almost certain to see you. So,
Okay.
how do you go about this?
I'll turn to Rayrel. I'll say, I've got my noise tricks and all of that, but it's beyond that. Would you rather try and take someone out silently or continue sneaking in such a manner?
We can try the sound tricks first, because once I get a shot off, they'll know we're here if I can't take them out right away. So perhaps if we just direct their attention somewhere else and give us enough time to slip through. Would that work for you?
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to keep doing it. I'm not sure how long they'll continue to hold their attention, but
We can try.
If the plan this out.
if we were to kind of advance down and maybe around that curved tower to the right, I could try and throw some more noise almost kind of between that array of guards, kind of attracting their attention to the left.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
What's a good distracting sound? Let's do a minute of a baby crying. Let's do that.
Okay. And so,
Something that they'll physically investigate.
how are you casting it and where on this?
So, minor illusion is nice in that it is somatic and material with no verbal components, so I don't have to make any noise to do it.
Do you have the material?
I've got an arcane focus.
Oh, okay. We're good then.
With the crystal. I'd like to cast it kind of just looking at the screen you've got up towards like the bottom left.
Bottom left. Okay.
Yeah, because there's that circular tower there, and I'd like to have us kind of circle around to the right of it, follow the base. So I'd like that guard looking off to the left.
So, some information is you can tell there's another person in this drum tower, but as you make the sound, it distracts other guards, but this one stays completely put, as though he was directly assigned to stay there. Others do get distracted and investigate, however.
Okay. So, where the two guards on the circular tower thingy are, like, that's where the gangplank is?
The gangplank is at the southmost point of the map, right around here.
Okay. Oh, there?
So once you make it to the bottom of this map, you will be free.
Okay. Well, let's see. Maybe we can stealth to this other circular area, like this kind of between the two guards,
You mean
and just kind of like
this? Yes? This?
like the little circular part, right below that, like right by,
Like here.
yeah,
Okay.
like probably like, yeah, right in there. We can like duck down and.
Okay. Alright, each of you give me 2 stealth checks then, if that's the move you're making.
Okay.
Good lord.
Oh, jeez.
Wrong.
Okay, so I have 120, and then I have an 8.
Okay.
Ooh, I too have a natural 20 and then a 10.
I have a dirty 20 and an 18.
Okay. So, this one guard does notice you, and he does start to come over. He does seem to be on his own, at least, so you have that advantage on you. You know, what do you do about him? He's coming over, and he's going to notice you if you don't act.
I'm gonna.
Like, do we try and take him out silently? Or,
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna shoot my longbow
Okay.
and just
Alright,
hope
so
that takes him out.
taking him by surprise, you get out a shot from your longbow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say you hit because, you know, you've taken him completely by surprise and no one would have a chance to dodge from that. So give me
Yeah.
damage.
Okay. 6.
6 is total or...
Total.
Okay. So... You get him, and he stumbles, and he's on the ground for a second. And he's bleeding. And you have one last chance to act before he notices you. What do you do? He hasn't managed to say anything just yet.
Drew would like to cast the fire at his face.
Okay.
Just keep him from speaking.
Okay.
Yes, Soren he'd been trying to hold off on any spells that required him to speak, but if this guy's standing up, he's about to throw something at him.
So the soldier on the ground gets a saving throw versus dexterity saving throw at disadvantage.
Mm-hmm. Alright.
If he fails,
Oh, he failed, don't worry.
okay, he'll take 6 points of damage.
Okay.
Fire damage.
So, Rayrel knocks him down, and then Drew, you take him out. And silently, you have managed to eliminate this guardsman. But the guardsman from the other tower, or at least what you thought was a guardsman, is yelling, "Help! Help! out to you people. Not at the guardsmen,
To us?
but to you two. Or at you three. And luckily, the sound of the sandstorm is managing to blur out most of it. Drew,
I'll
you can.
sprint over.
Okay.
I'll sprint.
Okay, you make your way over quickly.
Yeah.
You haven't been
If
noticed yet.
If Drew is going to this person, I'm gonna throw a voice. If I can see this person up at the top of the tower.
This is just like a little hollowed out tower. There's no top floor to this.
I'll use minor illusion again, just to throw a sound of, not a continuous sound this time, but a shh, we're coming. Just as a method to communicate.
Do you have the spell slots for that? Huh.
Minor illusion is a cantrip.
Oh wow, that's a neat little cantrip, huh? Okay, cool. So
The sounds and images only last for a minute, or you can just do them instantaneous. But and there's limits to them too.
Yes,
Obviously.
of course. So you send out your little sound, and you seem to be, for the most part, left alone for now. Drew, you're next to this supposed guard who is in manacles and wearing very fine clothing. It's a woman, an older tiefling woman, and she says, "Who are you?
Keep your voice down.
Who are you?"
We are here. We've been sent here to investigate what this is all about. I think the more important question is, why are you here, and why are you in chains?
Me? I was captured by Robola. I'm the Despotrix of Hardby.
Indeed. We've heard of you. We heard that you were taken. And I'm gonna wave my compatriots over, like, in a hurried fashion, shield. Like, waving my shield. Come.
Okay. I head over.
So the sandstorm's intensifying, so for the most part, you seem to be in your own little quiet bubble right now in this drum tower.
This is the Lady of Hardby we heard about that was taken. We need to free her from her shackles and get her to Hardby immediately.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I offer the lady some good berries to help with the arrows I stuck her with.
And she takes one, and injured but mostly placated, she eats up, and she's like, And you need not feed me. Roblo, surprisingly, is a decent captor. He feeds us and keeps me well.
Well, the cat's out of the bag regardless. If they find the dead guard, and if they know that you're missing, they will search for you.
Yes. On that note, this conversation is best served for later. Get her out of her chains. Then we're losing time for the boat. And Soren kind of he's about to like run out while he's like obsessed with seeing this boat at this point.
So he managed to get the manacles off her. Her hands look a little red around the wrists, but for the most part, she seems fine. I'd say, all right, then where to?
You tell us. We need to return you to what you came.
Listen, I've been watching that ship. They will not approach it. We will be safe there. I do not know why they refuse to approach it, but we will be safe there.
That's all I need to hear.
Then let's go.
Okay.
I'll give the lady the light crossbow that I carry, just as a way to defend herself, and then I'm booking it.
Yeah.
So
let's go.
As you get towards the gangplank, you can start to hear bells ringing in the camp and people getting at arms. And then, but by the time they've noticed, they see you and they notice you and they call out to it. But by the time that they can do anything about it, you're on the ship and I'm guessing you removed the gangplank that is set up to get onto it.
Yes.
So, you're on the hull, and it's this gleaming bronze hull, and there are small devices on the sides of the ship that look like little cannonets, and then there are 4 sails, there's rigging to get up to a crow's nest, and then there's 2 ways to get to the below decks. There is a staircase that leads directly below decks, and then there is 2 doorways that lead into a room of unknown origin, or not origin, but unknown purpose. So, what do you do?
I know this is a weird, wonky ship that came from the sky, but just based off of my time living most of my life on boats, do I have an inkling of where I think like a captain's quarters might be?
A captain's quarters will likely be in that raised area, either on the top floor or the second to top floor.
I think
So,
that's where we'll
at the
find
very back
something useful.
on either the top or the second floor.
I'll point in that direction and say, if this place is a ship and has a captain, that's where we'll find something of value.
So, you make your way, at least Soren does, I don't know if you two follow him.
Oh, yeah, he's kind of manic at this point. He's walking and not really paying attention if you get followed.
So Soren bolts into the top floor room, and Soren, inside is not a captain's quarters. You remember the strange piping and odd machinery that you saw in the Illithid base? It's like that, but it doesn't feel so scary. Instead of being an oily black metal, it's made out of this gleaming, like chrome-like material, and there's some sort of powerful engine, maybe an engine, before you. And then, affixed to the wall, there's the strangest sight of all. A perfectly 3 foot by 3 foot cube sort of latched to the wall and set in place. And next to it are 2 foot by 2 foot orbs, 4 of them also latched into place on the wall, each with sort of strange carvings and strange shapes built into them. What do you do? And then there's also a staircase to lower decks.
I think I'm just transfixed at this point. I'm running my hand over all the different chrome parts that I'm not used to. If there's something that looks like a power source, I'm just like poking, like rubbing all over it, looking for any kind of way to interact with it.
So one thing you notice is set by the engine, there is a very fabulously well polished and very comfy looking oak chair and metal tendrils from the machine sort of attach into it.
Yep, I'm not sitting in it, but I'm kind of approaching it, just again, feeling the hard wood, just kind of with a sense of reverence. Just trying to figure out what I'm looking at here.
Okay. While Soren is going absolutely mental, Rayrel, Drew, what do you do? The Lady of Heartbeat is sort of ducking into the siding of the ship and keeping watch sort of like a gunner does, with her crossbow.
Well, if it came from the sky,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps we can get it back into the sky?
Mm-hmm.
And get, what better way to bring back something to the temple than to bring the entire ship?
Mm-hmm.
So I think Rayrell's going to start looking for a way to get the ship going.
Okay. There doesn't seem to be anything on the top deck that seems to be able to do that. But
Okay.
there is some stuff. The room that Soren fled into seems to be attached to these great metal, cannon-looking tubes that come out the back of the ship. And, you don't know much about ships, but the helmsman is generally towards the back if on any good boat. So this is probably where any starting of this thing would be.
Okay. I want to take a look and see if I can find anything that looks like it could get the ship started.
Okay. So you're
Like a lever,
you're
a
in the room with
button,
Soren?
a dial. Yeah.
No, you see much the same Soren did, the metal chrome machinery that fills up about half the room, the polished oak chair, and the cube and spheres sort of latched into the wall.
I'm going to look at the cube and the spheres and touch them.
Okay. They seem to respond to touch, but they don't. They're basically chained into the wall with this little mechanism like a seatbelt. But you can see how to undo them. So if that's what you want to do, you can do that.
Yeah, I'll take them out.
Okay. So the cube falls to the floor and it begins to shake. And before your very eyes, a most interesting sight has appeared before you. 2 eyes open on the cube, and it grows metal arms and legs and stands up. And it says, "We have been waiting. What are our orders, Commander?"
Get this ship skyward.
"Yes, Commander. Where is the helmsman?"
I point to Soren.
And so this
Because he's the only one.
This cube walks over to Soren and grabs his wrist. "We need you to sit upon the jamming."
I think that's the chair, Soren.
Sure.
And it sits you down in the chair, and it then goes over to the spheres, touches each of them, and they grow a singular eye and arms as well. And it says, "2 stations, we need to begin takeoff procedures." And they all say, "We need to begin takeoff procedures." And they all go over to the machinery and begin working it. And like clockwork, before your very eyes, you can feel it. The ship is moving beneath you. And, there's a shaking sound, and as they sit Soren down, you can feel the ship start to move. Soren's hands get a little shaky, and the dust settles and the clouds of sand blow around it. And Drew, from where you're sitting, you look around and the camp is getting smaller beneath you, and the sandstorm's beginning to clear up. And you're going up, and up, and up even further, high, high into the sky, until all the chaos below you is but nothing. The Despotrix seems shocked by what's going on around her, And inside the engine room, the cube says to you, Rayrel, that we have successfully taken off, extending wings. And the four spheres, as commanded by the boss, say, extending wings. And, oh, goodness. No, that was so cool. Okay, and so you can feel the wings extending around you. And you feel the earth shaking, or not the earth shaking, but you feel the ship shaking, and you feel fires, or you see the fires burning at the back of the ship as the engines roar back to life. And you're off. You're in the sky. And the cube bows to Rayrel and says, takeoff complete. Altitude 4,000 feet. Increasing 20 feet every second. We will soon reach orbit. Any further commands? Orbit. Increase above the atmosphere. We are leaving planet Oerth. As commanded.
What?
As commanded. Oerth is being left. Any other commands, madam?
Be within atmosphere, head towards Greyhawk?
Towards the city of Greyhawk. And the spheres fiddled with machinery once again. Drew, what do? The entire, world is moving around you. Drew? Drew's awestruck by the situation, and he's clearly been left speechless. The Spotrix comes in and she says, what have you done? And before you can answer, the cube creature answers her first. And he says, we have taken off. And with that, that'll be Beyond Oerth for today.
Oh shit. Oh my god.
Thanks y'all. Have a good one. Remember, I'm Bardic Stories on Twitter if you want to follow me. That's Liz, that's Patrick, and that's Drew. And we'll be seeing you. Bye.